Nuptituals by Darth Link 22, Chapter 5, Applejack. The reception had moved surprisingly fast for Applejack, given her taste for such events. As frou-frou events got, having Pinky be the party planner did wonders, as did seeing all her friends having such a good time. She was hoping to have some time with Twilight to begin rebuilding their damaged friendship. But as soon as she got off the microphone, the unicorn went to talk with her brother and sister-in-law, as well as her parents. She couldn't join them. Twilight had every right to be with her relatives today. So she spent the early parts of the evening taking her shift at the buffet table. With every pony that came for a slice of apple pie or a mug of fermented cider, she made sure to add, "Courtesy of Sweet Apple Acres, located in Little Old Ponyville." Unlike the gala, this seemed to be drumming up business, especially since those partaking in the feast included a high-ranking Wonderbolt and Fancy Pants himself. Yes, big business coming in. There were plenty of new customers for the farm, less scrimping and saving this year. She wouldn't have to entirely rely on the profits from cider and sap apple jam for the lean months. There were plenty reasons to smile, to be happy. Just don't think about it. It was 3 songs after Final had kicked our TV off the stage that Cadence came up to her personally. "Twilight tells me you're good on the fiddle. How about playing a little for us?" Your reply was stunned. "Well, sucks, Your Highness. I play pretty good, but I don't know any songs that would be appropriate for a royal wedding." "Oh, don't worry about that. I hate the use of royal junk. Besides, Twilight's my sister now, and she's told me she's an honorary Apple family member. I want to learn more about her other family." It took all of Applejack's willpower not to show the pain in her heart. She remembered Twilight complaining that the false Kings didn't recognize her, that she didn't remember all the good times they had together. She and the others had brushed it off as nostalgia she was trying so hard to relieve. But during the preparations with the real thing, she saw the 2 of them laughing, giggling like schoolfillies half their ages, and remembering amusing incidents from their youth, but giving only bits and pieces of it in their excited babbling, so no outsider could tell what they meant. Every laugh sent a knife through Applejack's heart, reminding her of the warnings she had ignored. Just don't think about it. So she brought out her fiddle. Vinyl wasn't happy having to give up the stage again, but eventually the unicorn progressively did so, muttering something about wanting a drink anyway, and Applejack got her chance to play. Contrary to what some of the more elitist unicorns thought, Earth ponies and Pegasi could, indeed, learn to play several intricate instruments without the aid of magic. It was difficult, but not impossible. Octavia's success as a musician was a testament to that. That night, Applejack proved it true once more. A few Apple family members, lucky enough to merit invitations to the event, danced along with her. Many in the elite turned up their noses until the bride and groom started dancing, at which point they fell in line. She focused on her music, on the ponies dancing, the snobs all following the music of some backwater country hick. The entire party was dancing and having a good time. Twilight was smiling, laughing, happy to be free from the day's heartbreaking and stressful events. Everything was fine. Just don't think about it. 5 songs later, a new interruption came up. What started with Vinyl throwing an apple tart at Octavia. Forgetting her high-class training, the gray mare responded by lobbing one right back. Unfortunately, her target ducked, causing the patron to hit Prince Blueblood instead. What followed was a large assortment of ponies, temporarily regressing to schoolyard behavior and tossing food at whoever they happened to be carrying a grudge at. Royal guards quickly stepped in, though not Luna, who was off to side with Pinky, using on the fact that her sister couldn't be here to see this. The 2 musical mares were seen running off, 2 guards chasing after them. Once her laughter had subsided, Twilight came over to relieve Applejack of her duties. "Oh, shucks, Twi, you don't have to help me none. I'll be happy to keep playing until the guards find those 2 howheads." "I insist. Besides, your family's in charge of food, so I think you better go check on the supply that's missing now." Applejack suddenly realized that point, a detail he had missed that Twilight's keen mind had caught. She stepped in and helped her, no questions asked. Just don't think about it. She bowed to Twilight's logic and walked to the buffet table, leaving the unicorn in charge of the microphone once more. The table was still standing upright, thank goodness, and the apple fritter was looking over the damage. "Where got look, cuz?" she said, her accent even thicker than Applejack's. "Them crazy farmers only got through our cans of tarts. I don't reckon we still have enough that y'all be eating leftovers for a week." "Well, that's a relief," The orange serf pony muttered. Well, the hut we took in our orchards thanks to the Flame brothers. We could use some extra treats. Spike your wits, you all play happy little damn farmers actually tried to paint them see the Appaloosa. Braybird weren't too happy once he realized who they were. Wearing them right out and running to see Thunderhood's camps. And them buffalo weren't too happy to find their friends were bullied either. Woo, doggy! I don't think those two snakes ain't gonna be recovering from that anytime soon. You bet. Well, Sarah actually had to rescue them through their freezing gas and got trashed. Had to put them on the train to Canterlot, because that's the only place that can get out here without half the town trying to tamper them. Applejack blinked. You mean there, here in Canterlot? So yes. Not anymore. Land farmers heard your friends with Celestia, so they skipped town as soon as they got good enough to look. Last I heard, they're headed towards Philadelphia. Celestia weren't too happy to see Mason. She wanted to give a good talking to about their exits. Had her madder than a rattlesnake on a sleeping bag. Well, yeah, they were the only ones who got sore at. When the princess found out about the whole fiasco, she actually flew down to Ponyville. Was the real sting Granny bet the pharmacy had given her. She gave us all the long lessons about not letting your ponies use your pride to goad you into doing things. Even made me rewrite the letter I sent her. Woo! Fairwits. Not fun having the princess mad at you, I suppose. I ain't. But all she usually does is give a lecture, and she stops being mad real quick. Really? Twilight usually overreacts when she thinks Celestia's gonna be mad at her. But Celestia's approval means the world to Twilight. Just look what her cold reaction did to her. What you did to her. Just don't think about it. Oh, Twilight, sleep's a good feeling, actually. Well, I remember when you sent that telegram saying you wasn't coming back to Ponyville after the rodeo. First thing she did was round up all your friends and hope for the first train there looking for you. A knife went through Applejack's heart. Just like that, huh? Darn tune, real dependable like. Well, I could see why y'all made her an all-right apple. She's that family. Another knife. Yeah, like a sister to me. To all of us. Well, you could pick not a better one. Do a bit of a like him for my taste. But I reckon those brains of hers might come handy. A third knife. Yeah, she's the one who figured out the loopholes and led them complete in the Flame Brothers contest. Nancy got them all organized to the point we were beating that fancy contraption of theirs. Can't complain with those results. Fitter nodded. She's my friend too. No doubt. Well, when Princess Luna visited Ponyville for the first time since getting free of Nightmare Moon, she was the first to go up to her and... She trailed off as realization hit her. She'd been the first one to look past Luna's past as Nightmare Moon and treat her kindly. This was after their last encounter had largely been spent with the Alicorn trying to kill her. Then memories of her seeing Sakura for the first time came to her as well. How she had seen her strange outer appearance, only thinking Sakura was evil when all the evidence pointed to her. She was so friendly towards others that until she had reason to be confrontational. Her hostility towards Cadence was unusual. That should have been her first sign something was wrong, you dumb hick. A fourth knife. I tell you, all right? At that point, Applejack realized she had stopped speaking. Applefrere looked at her with suspicion. I'm fine, Fritz. Don't you lie to me, AJ. You're awful quiet for a big celebration. I'm lying, she said defensively. It's just been a long day, is all. I'd like to see you be full of energy after 5 horrid changelings. Applefrere raised her eyebrows suspiciously. Like you supposed to be the element of honesty? Applejack opened her mouth to protest, then sadly sighed. I reckon I am, she grumbled. But the truth ain't exactly easy to face right now. Well, easy to face when you was hiding at Dodge Junction. When you finally did fess up, things got better. The Earth Point couldn't help but chuckle. I guess you're right. You figured I had to learn my lesson the first time. Well, I'm willing to bet the others are all going to pour their hearts out to anybody and listen. So I guess it's my turn. So once again, a bearer of the element of harmony found themselves telling the day's events to an outside observer. Fred and I in understanding throughout, not interrupting until the story was finished. So how'd that bug fool ya? Don't the element honestly give you some sort of freaking truth-seeing powers? Is that another pony POV reference? It don't work like that. Applejack muttered, rolling her eyes. It's clear to Fred that this wasn't the first time she had explained this to another. Princess Celestia told us we just make the elements work. The powers in them fancy niggers. Bullcrap! We just have the right choice to use them. Well, alright, so what's the problem? So he ain't holding no grudge against you. But I'm the one holding myself, she said sadly. We all are. No matter how much it might have made sense for us to take Twilight, we'll still be possessive of her big brother. Each and every one of us felt like mud when we found out the truth. And then we even felt worse once he turned out to forgive us so darn easily. It might make no sense for us to keep being down on ourselves, but there you go. Farrah kicked the ground in a bit of nervousness, wondering the best way to put this. Well, I mean, sounds like she was acting like a brat, but, I mean, what were you thinking when you started talking about that? Well, Princess Luna showed up at Ponyville on Nightmare Night. We were all jumping like jackrabbits because we were all so scared of her. I guess her entrance and attitude just shook us up a bit, and we forgot how she was after she stopped being Nightmare Moon. Then I was thinking of somebody else in Ponyville named Sakura. We were all afraid of her because she looked weird and creepy. Twilight sat straight above them. Never judged them for a second. Well, okay. She did think Sakura was evil for a while, but there was extraordinary circumstances there. At least, I should have known better to think Twilight would accuse some pony like that without good reason. Her cousin nodded. So you thought of something else you still believe Twilight for? I keep thinking of him, she said sadly. I keep going back and forth on this. Half the time I convince myself Twilight's right. She sounded half crazy, and we were right to think she was just being jealous. But every time I do, I remember what great pal she's playing, and all the reasons we should have at least looked into what she was saying. I can't make up my mind on who was wrong. Ain't it obvious? Farrah said with a stern expression. Applejack blinked. What? She asked. Sure, she wasn't going to like the answer. You both were. Ah! Think over! Once again! 5 chapters! 5 times! The point has been proven! I can just point out a bar and graph here saying Darth Link, correct, and I think you got my review! When I get to the review portion at the end of this, it's just going to be... You want to know my thoughts? He said them. It took the apple farmer a few moments to process the information. Before she could speak, Farrah continued. You all both made mistakes today. No pony blames you for them, but you all did. No pony blames Twilight for flipping out when she saw her brother being werewolves. No pony blames the rest of you for thinking she was just making a fool of herself, given how she went about things. But they were still mistakes. You all messed up. Well, yeah, Applejack said simply. I knew that. But which of us was more wrong? It don't matter, she said simply. You're trying to make things simpler by picking one side to be mad at, but that ain't nothing to fret about. What you should be focusing on is what you all learned from this. The only thing that's going to make you all guilt and anger is your feeling go away. Once again, Farrah let her cousin process what she just said. Finally, the orange surf pony smiled. Well, shoot, you always were the last one in the family. Darn tootin', Farrah nodded proudly. You feel better? A little. Got any other advice for me? Yeah, talk to Twilight in the morning. Make sure she don't go taking the full blame for this on herself. She needs to understand you're all at fault too. And she's gonna beat herself up for it. Good call, cousin. I promise. I'll talk to Twilight again on the way home tomorrow. Maybe even tonight, if I could get her after the bride and groom leave. Believe me, I've been wanting this whole scene need to be over with so I can talk to Twilight again. Farrah nodded understandingly. That sounds like the best thing for you. Just being around your friend will make things better. I promise. She grinned, looking over where Twilight was singing on stage. To a casual observer, she seemed to be a perfectly happy pony. Applejack couldn't help but wonder what was going through her friend's mind. Was she truly happy, completely relieved over the fact that her friends, family, and mentor were no longer angry with her? Was she harboring guilt over her outburst at the rehearsal? Still convinced that the near destruction of Canterlot had been her fault? Was some part of her still harboring some anger at her friends for dismissing her, regardless of what she had to tell them? She had to know, but she couldn't now. She sighed. The gala, and now this. Why did all these frou-frou parties have to be so horrible? Chapter 6. Fluttershy. Fluttershy politely listened to Twilight's opening song. feeling that she owed her friend far more than that. As Piggy took the stage, she quietly slowed down the reception into the empty sections of the royal gardens. She hated large crowds, even in the best of times. With today's events, she didn't feel particularly like being around a large crowd. Had she not seen fit to see the bride and groom off, she would have slinked right off to her suite and gone to bed. She hadn't been paying attention to where she was going, so she didn't notice the statue she was walking toward until she was right in front of it. It was Discord, still frozen in stone, his face still stuck in the same horrified expression. She looked at the statue, a shiver running down her spine. She had suffered the least from Discord's games. She had been brainwashed rather than broken after all. But any amount of time around the Draconicus was enough to drive any pony mad. The thought of all that cruelty, that sadism, twisting and corrupting her mind, it still caused her stomach to lurch. "Aw, you flatter me." She lost track of how long she had stared at the statue, before a voice called behind her. "Fluttershy!" Now Pegasus gave a small cry and whirled around. However, her panic quickly subsided when she saw who it was. Iron Will stood before her, looking the same as he did when she had last seen her a few minutes ago. However, at the same time, for reasons Fluttershy couldn't quite grasp, he looked different. He had the same blue coat, the same horns, and she assumed the same muscular build under his tuxedo. Then it hit her. It was attitude. His shoulders were slumped, bags were now under his eyes. His face wore the expression of a Minotaur with a lot on his mind.
"Iron Will,"
she remembered to return the greeting.
Nice to see you again."
"Likewise,"
he responded, in a calmer tone than Fluttershy remembered him speaking in.
"I'm glad you're here. I was hoping for a chance to talk to you again."
She blinked. She was using pronouns. This was another difference in the demeanor now. It was like an entirely new Minotaur was standing in front of her.
"Well, okay, but can we talk somewhere else? I really don't want to be around him."
She mustered in Discord.
"I can't blame you for that," he admitted. "Come on, let's take a walk."
Fluttershy followed the suggestion, all too eager to leave the area. The pair walked in silence for a while, until they finally came upon the royal headsmaids. Though this was the location where they had first met Discord in the flesh, it was a better alternative than being in front of Discord himself. So she didn't complain as they entered. They didn't speak at first, opting instead to simply navigate the twists and turns of the labyrinth in silence. Finally, after a few turns, Iron Will spoke.
"Fluttershy, I want to apologize."
She tilted her head, tilting at a confused angle.
"Huh? You mean for everything that happened a few months ago?"
"Yes,"
he said, as softly as deep as his voice could allow.
"My seminar made you that way. You nearly lost your friends because of me. I caused you a lot of grief."
Fluttershy was stunned. She had seen signs of this new attitude the last time she spoke with the Minotaur. After accepting that she wasn't satisfied, he left without a fight, only to return moments later, having thought to inquire why she wasn't happy. She gave her reasons, gently but firmly, and once again he left without any fuss. This time he had not come back. During that time she could still see the shock on his face, which seemed to quickly be replaced by worry and concern. She felt bad, but assumed a creature with as much pride as him would be back to his old self quickly. But seeing him like this, months later, worried her.
"You have nothing to apologize for,"
She assured.
"You're only trying to help me. I just took it the wrong way. You can't blame yourself for the things I did."
"If it were only you, I believe that,"
She sighed.
"But after you refused to pay, I decided to go through my records and check out my other alumni. I wasn't pleased with the results."
His companion couldn't help but shiver.
"Oh my, you mean others were acting the way I was?"
Iron Will didn't answer her words, but simply hung his head turned away. Told Fluttershy everything she needed to know.
"Do you know why I started my seminars on being assertive?"
The Pegasus shook her head.
"Well, you might not believe this, but as a child, I was bullied."
Her eyes widened in shock. She didn't believe it.
"You? But you're so big and strong."
"I am now,"
He simply told her, though there was a hidden pride of his voice at the compliment.
"but as a child, I was small for my age. Every calf that was bigger than me would grind me into the ground. And if they weren't doing that, they were calling me names, mocking me."
He trailed off. Fluttershy lifted herself off the ground, putting a comforting hoof on his shoulder.
"Believe me, I know how that feels."
She said. She tried not to think about it, but the cruel chant often sung to her in flight school still hurt to remember.
Then I was sprung up overnight. Went from being the smallest calf in my class to the biggest. Now every bully was inviting me to hurt the ones who hadn't grown yet. But I had a better idea.
You decided to protect them instead.
Fluttershy said sagely.
Yes, I remember how I felt to be treated that way. I did whatever I could to protect the ones that couldn't protect themselves.
Fluttershy flew up and patted him on the shoulder.
I have a friend named Rainbow Dash. She protected me from all kinds of bullies back in flight school. I don't think I would have made it without her. Believe me, you did a lot of good doing that.
Iron Will smiled, somewhat proudly. For a moment, he seemed to regain some of his old attitude.
I eventually started my seminars because I wanted to help others who were in the same situation I was as a calf. But I didn't get enough business back home. Minotaur society is heavily based on combat anyway, so there weren't many who needed my help.
So you came to Equestria?
She guessed.
Exactly! I figured I was needed in a more peaceful area.
It was obvious. He had to search for a term that was not offensive.
I immediately set up shop and went to work. Every party I helped was satisfied. I was beginning to become known. Then I met you.
Fluttershy nodded to show she understood. He continued.
I found out I was making ponies into the very thing I was trying to teach them to stand up to. I was only making things worse.
He slumped his back, looking more dejected.
I think your friend was right to call me a monster.
No, she wasn't.
Fluttershy assured.
She was just upset. You're not a monster.
I like your optimism.
Iron Will started.
But
No buts.
She said firmly.
A monster would have been happy to cause all that trouble. A monster would have blamed something or somebody else for their mistake. You're not doing either of those things. You just made a mistake. It's a mistake a lot of ponies make.
Iron Will arched an eyebrow.
And what's that?
Assuming the worst out of others.
She answered simply.
Ponies expect the worst out of others, and they act their worst in return. This is the others who expect the worst too. That's where so many problems come from. Every pony makes a mistake. I made it today.
At this, her companion gave a surprised look.
You?
Now Fluttershy was hanging her head in shame.
My friend Twilight saw through the Changeling Queen's disguise. She tried to warn us. We assumed she was just being jealous that her brother was getting married. We hurt her badly because of it.
She was beginning to cheer up. Iron Will tried putting a comforting hand on her, but it was awkward. He clearly wasn't used to more intimate interaction. She continued again.
Then we did it again. We went to apologize to her. We were all expecting her to be angry with us, to insult us.
To grow a second form called doubt and have this really long interaction between each other, but unfortunately missing the point, and again, Defender, apologies.
But she didn't. She was very understanding, and I felt bad for thinking so little of her.
There?
Iron Will's literacy, his inexperience showing. At that point, Fluttershy realized he was bearing her soul to someone who had come to her for comfort. She quickly bit back tears, trying to concentrate on helping Iron Will.
So, you shouldn't feel so bad. I made the same mistake you did. It doesn't make me a bad pony.
He scratched his chin a moment, thinking.
Wait, didn't you make a mistake by not assuming the worst of the fake princess?
The Pegasus bowed her head, looking somewhat embarrassed.
Well, I guess I kinda did.
She muttered. Despite her desires, she started crying again.
It may seem strange after what I just said, but Twilight's my friend. She's proven herself several times to be reliable, smart, and kind. I sort of expected the best from her before I expected the best in a stranger.
Iron Will rubbed the back of his head uncertainly, not sure what to say.
So that philosophy isn't completely perfect.
She shook her head slowly, trying to keep her tears in.
If there was ever something that could partially tell somebody how to live, everybody would be completely happy. No, I tried assuming the best of a stranger, and I ended up hurting a friend because of it. You know, trying to see the best of everyone is why I see the worst in myself.
The Minotaur nodded.
You'll stand up for yourself because you're afraid to be the bad guy if you do.
First I looked down, tilting her head in mild surprise.
They may have been flawed, but
Yeah. I did do enough of these seminars to know how ponies think.
She nodded in understanding.
you're right. I was so worried about hurting others and let them hurt me. When I used what you taught me, it felt so good. I started using it all the time, whether I needed it or not. and I hurt ponies because of it.
Steve was sobbing again.
That's my fault. Ironwill sighed. I made you like that.
No,
Fireside said firmly, putting on her best stern expression despite her tears.
I ended that way. I'm responsible for my own behavior. You cannot hold yourself accountable for my actions.
Fireside, I drove you to that. I may not be entirely to blame, but it's still my fault anyway. We both made mistakes.
Fireside eyeing her eyes in shock. Then she closed them look away.
Why said something like that?
Her tears were flowing freely now. Pain was in her heart.
She said the way she tried to tell us. We had every right to think she was jealous.
Ironwill rubbed the back of his neck.
Well, do you think she has a point?
Yes,
She admitted.
but I feel bad. We all do. I suppose we're all trying to figure out who was right in this.
The Minotaur sighed, shaking his head.
I don't think morality can be figured out just like that.
Whoa! Listen to the Minotaur. He's got the point.
Applying logic to it doesn't always work. My logic was when someone acts like a jerk, be a jerk right back. And it didn't do too well. Your logic told you to assume the best from a stranger, and it hurt your friend in the process.
Pegasus began to cry more, and Ironwill realized he worded his last sentence badly.
But you shouldn't be feeling so bad from it. For the sound of things, the only one to blame is the Changeling Queen.
She said something like that too.
Fireside sniffed, and Ironwill slapped his forehead in frustration.
Well,
He racked his brain. Thinking wasn't a strong suit.
you just made a mistake, like you told me. Every pony makes them. You shouldn't be feeling so bad about making them.
Fireside hung her head, though her tears showed.
You know, before I met Twilight, I thought I knew everything there was about being kind. That every pony had good in them. If you're kind long enough, you would bring it out. Even Nightmare and Moonstone had to be a good pony underneath it all. But I've learned a lot since then. That creatures like Discord don't seem to have any good in them at all. I don't realize there are ponies that you need to stand up to, be firm with. I realize I still have a lot of growing to do. Today, I saw Princess Celestia make the same mistake I did. She's lived for more than 1,000 years. She still has something to learn.
I hate to make a little shelf gratification here, but in my fic, Equestria Mirage 2 Dream Warriors, one of the forms of Twilight that the Trixie fights is one who has lived for millennia and she thinks she knows everything. But Trixie then proves this lesson. At that point, the pair turned a corner and immediately stopped. The turn led to a dead end, but that wasn't what caused them to halt. A teeny and final scratch were in one of the corners, still covered in the Apple family's cookings. Their forelegs around each other. No, their muscles touching. You're so beautiful when you're covered in pastry. The DJ swooned. That was stupid and made no sense, and sweet Celestia, I'm so attracted to you right now! They returned to their kiss while, unseen to them, Fireside and Ironwill slowly backed away around the corner. They made an about face and started walking in the opposite direction. After a moment, the Minotaur spoke.
Did you see?
No,
Me neither.
He agreed. The pair walked in silence for a moment. Finally, Fireside spoke again.
anyway, what I'm trying to say is that maybe there's a lesson we both need to learn. You're not a monster any more than I am. You made a bad decision, that's all. Every pony makes them from time to time during the crib. You're only bad if you don't acknowledge them, grow from them. No matter how old you get, you still have something to learn.
Ironwill was silent for a moment. Then he grinned.
I guess you're right, he said. I mean, I did turn down every pony I taught and at least tried to re-educate them.
There you go. You're trying to fix your mistakes. I'm sure your seminars are better than ever now.
The Minotaur grinned.
They got the attention of Princess Celestia herself. That's how I got an invitation to this wedding.
Well, there you go. You're not a monster, you never were. You just have some growing to do. We all do.
Ironwill smiled.
I guess you're right. There's no point in worrying about mistakes when you learn from it.
And do your best to fix it.
She added. He nodded.
Still, it's hard not to dwell on it.
It is.
Fireside sighed.
I'm going to feel awful for a long time for not believing Twilight, no matter how much she might try to tell me everything's okay.
So, what will you do about it?
he asked.
The only thing I can do, spend time with her. Let the guilt pass.
She answered sagely. By now, they were back outside the maze, passing Discord's statue again. She looked at the Draconequus, another shiver running down her side.
We faced Discord together, and I don't think any of us fully recovered. But we've gotten better, because we stuck together. This is hers too, but we'll get through it.
You know, people, I think I've praised these chapters enough that you probably can guess my next reactions for the next few chapters. Ironwill smiled, not a proud smile like he usually gave when congratulating himself, but a warm one that seemed out of place on him.
I don't doubt that.
Ironwill,
Yes,
please start talking using your name again. You hardly sound like yourself without it.
The Minotaur grinned.
Ironwill's not one to deny a lady request.
He responded, giving a playful bow. Fireside giggled, blushing a little at her companion's silvery attitude. At that point, Twilight's singing started up again. Fireside pricked up, glancing in the direction of her friend's voice. Seeing this, Ironwill offered his hand.
Would you like to dance?
Pegasus faced him, her face turning red. She raised her huff.
I like that.